view it as a really exciting things like of that nature that Google's working on. Others view it as kind of distracting things that Google's kind of throwing money at. How do you view it in your own head?
Well, I think that, I've always been of the view that it's important to explore some of these far-flung ideas. And I've also been at Google long enough now that I've seen that some of those far-flung ideas do become core, right? One of our early strategies was what we called 70-20-10. Put 70% of the people on search and ads, put 20% of the people on related areas to search and ads, and put 10% of people on very far-flung ideas. And interestingly, some of the things that started off in those 10% were things like Orchid, our social network, and things like Chrome, because we weren't really sure how those would fit into our strategy. And yes, we've also had some other things like, Google Ride Finder, which I guess is sort of an early, very, very, very distant cousin of something like Uber, right? But it's like, so we've had those kinds of far-flung projects. Some of them haven't gone anywhere, like, Google Ride Finder. Some of them have actually migrated to be very core to us, like Chrome, or very core to how people use technology, like social. And so I think it's important to be exploring around the fringes, because some of those items along the fringe become something that's really central. And so I think that the driverless cars is something that fits right into what we're good at. When you're driving a car, there's literally several hundred signals coming in. How far away from from the car in front of you are you? What's happening with traffic? Where are you trying to navigate to? All the different sensor information. And finding just the right signal and understanding what's important and understanding how to make decisions isn't all that different from search. And so, we're really taking some of our core competencies and applying it to one of these far-flung problems. And I do think things like traffic, safety, ultimately the fuel utility, things like that are something that can be helped a lot with better use of cars. One of the things we see is we have something called route around traffic that is inside Google Maps for mobile and our navigation application. So when you're navigating, you can say, hey, I don't want to get stuck in traffic, route me around it. And our estimate is that every day we save 2 years of idle time in cars. And when you think about how much time that is, right? So for every user, it's just a little bit of time, but when that adds up, it's 2 years of extra, more productive time for people who aren't sitting in cars, and it's 2 years less of cars idling and running through gasoline. And so, some of these things can be really significant for the world. And so I think if we can take some of our core competencies and apply it to some of these far-flung problems, they may ultimately become core in a way that's very significant.